Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Quantum Leap Morning Pre-Market Analysis and Trade Plan setup for Monday, June the 9th, 2014. My name is Doug McKay, and I am the head moderator and founder of Quantum Leap. Quantum Leap is a private Skype room that has been around, coming up on 5 years on Skype. We have a little Skype chat room. If you're interested in checking it out, you can send me a contact request to Doug_McKay at, I'll be the one from Windsor, Ontario, or send me a email to d.mckay@stealthtrader.com. We are a self-organized learning environment. Each day we come together and talk about trading in our chat room, and then our market observations and all that good stuff. And then each morning prior to the trading day, except on Tuesday mornings right now because I'm traveling, we come together in this go-to, and I go through my analysis and my morning routine, and then we look at the macro to the micro, and we do some more in-depth chart analysis, and I set up my trade levels for the day and my targets for the day with my hypotheses. Of course, before we do anything, we do have to get the disclaimer out of the way. So let me read through that. This information is for the purpose of educating members who want to expand their knowledge of the business of trading. It's not for trading or investment advice. You and only you are responsible for the trades or investment decisions you make. Trading futures or any instrument involves risk loss. Please consider carefully whether futures or options are appropriate to a financial situation. Only risk capital should be used when trading futures or options. Investors can lose more than initial investment. Nobody at Quantum Leap is a certified trading advisor. We are retail traders operating within a self-organized learning environment. Past performance is not indicative of future results. Any trades that you see in Quantum Leap are for education purposes only. Please do your own due diligence and trade your own trade plan. Okay, so let's get right into it. Lots to go through. Of course, let's just take a look at the big picture. We've been talking about the fact that we broke out of this balance that we are in. I'm tracking a microcomposite here going back to February the 21st with the microcomposite VPOC right in around that 64.75, 65 area. And then we broke out of value, and in the last 14 days we have had this parabolic move. We came up and accepted value in around 1890 and a quarter, where they tried to hold value after making that all-time new high at 1898.50. Then they accepted that value with the breakout of the value around 65, and then came up, accepted value higher at 1908, and then kept it going. Accepted value in around 21, 22 area, and then we've had two strong gaps and a move up, and now we're trying to hold in around this 1946 and a quarter. Friday VPOC was 1946.50, so we're trying to hold around in this area. And this we were talking about last week was the move we were looking for because of the fact that we had that ATR crunch. We were coiling, and our ATR, 20-day ATRs were tightening, and our volume was lowering, and we kept on, we broke out of value and did it on low volume, and we just had this slow grind up, and all the risk has been to the upside. I truly believe we're getting what I consider to be a blow-off top. We still got that measured move on the geometrics up there at 55.50. That's my main target above today, although I think we're going to see some weakness today, not necessarily a big move down, but I think we're going to stall here, maybe tap this 55, but we'll talk about what levels I'm looking at. The other thing I want to go and take a look at real quickly is the COT report. This report is put together every Tuesday and put out on Friday, and again, this is something that I've been trying to point out to people, is the fact that our commercial paper, which is the light line here, and our large spec are net negative. There's your zero line right there, so they are net negative, and the retailers are chasing this this top on very low volume and likely to be bag holders here. Smart money is still net negative, so be smart money, but realize the risk is still to the upside. So let's go through our key numbers. We're way above the open of the year. We are just below the all-time high that you can see. We've been getting this, putting in all-time new highs almost every single day for the last 10, 12 days. So we still have that number to the upside. Our monthly low is all the way down into that 1913.75. It's really 1913.25 I'm watching, because that's that key CLVN before we get a big rotation down to test that last accepted value below at 1908 and see if we find some responsive buyers down there. We did open at 1921.25. So that's another number below us. That's right near that CHVN at 1922. We'll talk about that. And of course, our high of the month is our all-time high and our year high so far. So going down to the intraday numbers from Friday, you can see, again, all the Globex numbers leading up have all been mostly green and to the upside, trending up. We opened Friday Globex at 1938.50, had a high. This is a key area I'm going to point out too. This, I'm sorry, it's 48.50. Sorry, my bad. 1938.50 was the Globex open on Friday. Had a high of 43.75 and a low of 37.75, and then we opened auction outer range. Something we've been doing a lot of. We're not going to do it today. We're actually going to open up inside of range and inside of value, something that has not, has been on the cusp of staying inside of value lately. We opened auction outer range with normal variation. Our opening swing high 43.25, opening swing low 41.75 for a 1.5 point. It was actually a pretty tight day, very balanced day on Friday. Our initial balance high, the first hour high of the market, 47. Initial balance low, 41.75 for a 5.25 point initial balance, slightly tighter than normal. And then all our intraday numbers, again, you can see we've had this very strong trend up. Our 12:30 number, 47.75. Our high, 49.50, was our all-time new high, and our RTH low, 41.75. And the close at 49.25, closed near the all-time high, and then our VPOC shifted up to 46.50. And going over to the ATRs, again, something I want you to be aware of is we haven't seen these tighter ranges on this type of move for a while. All the 20-day ATRs continue to constrict. Our Globex is now down below 6 3/4. Our full session is down 13.5, and we're down below 11 on the RTH session, and we haven't seen that type of an ATR in I don't know how long, a long time, all the way back to the beginning of the year is when we actually got below 11 on our 20-day ATR. And then going over to the value area, we had a higher value area at 48, value area high, and 45 value area low for a 3-point value area. And again, we've been breaking the IB initial balance late. The most average time is now in around this 10 o'clock central inside the second pocket. And then, of course, we did smaller than normal volume again. You can see we've been doing this move on very light volume, and the commercial and the large specs are not, the OTF has not been involved in this move up. I think it's just this blow off top that we're getting, and the retailers just getting in over exuberant and just buy. So far in the Globex, we have a full session high at 1950, full session low at 1946.25. That gives our 20-day ATR targets to the upside at 1959.50 and to the low side at 36.75. And I don't usually talk about the pivots, but I'm going to talk about the pivots today. The daily floor pivots. Our resistance to the upside right now for our daily resistance 1 is 53.75, 57.75 for 2, and 66.75. And these are all within the range. The first one, of course, being that measured move to the upside at 1955.50. But then we also have one at 1966, and that's coinciding with the resistance 3 on the daily. And then we've got resistance 1 on the weekly up at 61.75 as well. So a little bit of confluence up there. And then below us, this 41.50, 41.75 seems to be a very important number that keeps popping up. So I want you to pay attention to this 1941, and we'll talk about what it looks like on the composite and the other chart. Let's go down and take a look at what the news we've got today, which is don't believe is anything. We have no scheduled news right now. Of course, we do have headline risk news coming out of ECB with all the rate changes that they made on the LIBOR and the fact that we've gone into negative savings rates where it's now costing you to keep your money in the bank, which is not a very good thing for the banks, and certainly good for this market. So let's go take a look at the macro to the micro and the trend. Sorry, I thought I had these charts set up already. I always like to start with the macro to the micro, so I'm never taking my eye off the context of the different time frames. What can I say? The monthly has just been on an absolute scream. We have not had a close below the 9 EMA until we go back to the May 1st, the May of 2012. Just been on this tremendous bull run. Got great slope and separation on the 9 and the 20, and the trend is very much intact on the monthly. On the weekly, I pointed out that we're likely to get a technical gap on the weekly this week with this strong move up in the last 3 weeks. We've got a nice technical gap. I'm thinking that we're going to stall out and go sideways to close the gap or make a move back down to close the gap on the weekly. So the trend is intact, but we're showing some signs of weakness and a likely some type of consolidation or retrace because of the technical gap. On the daily, same thing. You've had this strong parabolic move. Price is actually paralleled. The 9 very nicely came in and closed what was a small technical gap, but this was nothing real strong. This last 2 days have pulled us away, and now creating much bigger technical gap on the daily, and likely to find some sideways movement or a bit of a retrace within the first couple days of this week to close out this technical gap. Going over to the geometric chart, well, we've been talking about this energy point up here in the 1955-50 area between the 3 upward sloping forks, and we've been holding the center line and riding the center line of the short-term upward sloping fork, and we were saying look for a move to test the upper line of the smaller time frame chart and then the center line of the longer time frame chart. We came down and tested the long-term upward sloping fork, came up and just keep moving, and now we're testing the center line of the longer term fork, and then same thing with the intermediate. We broke above the center line and then we made a move up, and we're coming up to test all the key levels in this energy point up here at 1955. And then if we get above there, then we wait to see if we get this this move up to test the 2000s. I mean, it's almost looking like they're not going to let this go until they get that test of the 2000s. So let's go look at the trend coming into the RTH session on the intraday. You can see we've got a technical gap that's being closed out right here. This is a pretty nice technical gap after going up and making all-time new high. Why do I have an all-time new high at 1950 and different on my other charts? I have to take a look at that. And then that's because we put it in the Globex on Friday. That's right. So we've come down and we're basically closing this technical gap, and then we have to keep an eye on this 1945, 1946 area to see if we break below and then go down and test that 41.75. But the trend itself is showing a little bit of weakness on the 4-hour. We don't have as much slope, but we do have separation, so the trend is not invalidated on the 4-hour. It's just stalling for a minute. On the 30-minute, you can see that the story is a little bit different. We've come down and closed below the 9 and the 20, and we've tried to break above the 20 but failed, and we're currently trading below the 9 and coming up and just testing it. A bit of a start of a trend. So the smaller time frame is showing some weakness and a little bit of a rounded top right here, but still hasn't been violated. Going into the 15 minutes, you can see same thing. You've got a sort of a move down. We still do have a naked cross right up here at 1949. So I don't think we're done with 49. If we hold some key levels, I think we drift up and possibly make a new all-time high. But I'm questioning if we've got the energy and the commitment to make it today. So let's go down to the 5-minute. Last one, you can see that the 5-minute is basically chop and consolidation, and we're trying to get back above the 9 and the 20 now. But there's no discernible trend on the 5-minute going into the RTH session. So let's take a look at the where we are up here. I mean, there's not a lot of guidance up here. There's a couple key levels that that I'm looking at. This 48.75 CLVN coincides with a DLVN from yesterday, but right now we're going to open up and in around this 46. And my hypothesis today is basically a chop inside this distribution zone with a test down to the 41.40.75 level, and then if we break below that to come down and close the gaps on Thursday down here and test this 38.50. I think the key line in the sand for us right now for any bigger retrace is going to be this 34.25. Until we break that 34.25, I think we're just going to chop in between the 46.50 and the 38.50 this week with a push up to test that 55 energy point in the upper boundaries. And if we break out of that, I expect us to go up and test the 74 and 66 level, up here as they just keep pushing higher with very little resistance. But again, my main hypothesis this week as a whole is to come back and do some repair, okay, in between, 46.50, 38.50 with the lower level test being 34.25. And if we get below 34.25, then I think we're actually going to come all the way down here and get a retrace down into the 21.22 level, and then chop around in this distribution zone right here with testing that 13. And then below 13, you guys all know what I think. Below 13, I don't think we hold. We'll come down and test the 1908s if we don't find buyers there. I think we're going to come all the way down here into this 1891 level. Now remember that 1891 level was where we started this move on the breakout. We accepted value back up and around this 90 and a quarter, accepted it slightly higher at 91.75, and that's where we finally got down the energy to gap up and break out of the long-term range that we were trading in around that 74 and 64 level. All right, so let's take a look at what this looks like and set our levels up in our charts for today. Let's take a look at the Globex. So we've had a fairly tight range in around this 46, 47 level overnight, but inventory is net negative. We have a gap up here at 49 and a quarter, our naked close from Friday. We're trading inside of value and inside of range in around the VPOC, and we're accepting that value. So the key level that you want to watch, let me just move my overnight stuff over first. So we've got an overnight high, 1950. And overnight low, so we have an all-time new high and put in the Globex. How about that? How many times have we been saying that they've been making the all-time new highs in the Globex while everybody's sleeping? And then our range low for overnight, our overnight low is here at 46 and a quarter, just below our VPOC from yesterday, and then our VPOC for the overnight session is just above at 47 and a quarter. All right, so we can get rid of this. We can expand this out. So, I mean, we're in value and in range. It's going to be tough to trade this area right here because you've got no definable edge whatsoever until we test some of these key levels. So looking to the upside, okay, you've got the value area high up here at 48, but I don't think that's the smart trade, because we got a CLVN at 48 and a quarter and a LVN at 48 and a quarter with the naked close at 49 and a quarter. So you could take the breakout of the value area, but the problem is you've got some serious price rejection just below you at 48 and a quarter. So I really think that 48 and a quarter, 48.75 is the trade level here for a move to test the 49.50 RTH all-time high and go up and take out and another breakout to the overnight high, because this way, you can get in and get funded prior to going out and taking out that overnight high. And if they can't hold below the 48, we can't hold inside a value. We're likely to see the move. So I think the stronger play to the upside is to wait for the break at 48.75. Now, can you take the value area break? Sure, but it's just more dangerous, and you've got to basically get long at 48 or before it, which is dangerous, as you know, because you're going to likely find some value area traders that are going to try to fade off of this 48. But if you do get long here, you got to be in and get scaled before 48.75. That's just, if you're going to take the risky trade, you've got to really get your first scale off real quick, and then just keep it real tight, because you could see some responsive sellers stepping in at the value area high. Wait for the breakout of 48.75. Then you got a higher probability of going in, taking out the naked close as the momentum into it, and then push through to take out the overnight high, especially if we have not taken out the overnight low first. Take advantage of that 96% probability stat and a breakout of value to get you long into a test of the range high and the the all-time RTH high at 49.50, and a push through to take out the overnight low and the all-time high at 50. And then your first target above is going to be that R1, which is at 53.75. And there's really not much out here to guide you there. And then above that, you have the 55.50, and then the other one I'm looking at right now, R2, 57.75, and then of course the target up there at 66. And that's about all the guidance. If you're not long on this break, again, trying to fade a move like this is the riskier trade. You want to go with the trend, pick your levels, and just keep them tight. You've got nothing to guide you up here, so trying to fade an all-time new high can be very dangerous, especially with this move. Wait for a better trade. Well, the better trade would, if we do go out and take out the overnight high, then I would take the short in below the value area at 48 for a rotation down to to balance and around this 46.50. I mean, this is where you fade here. Don't fade above, because if you try to fade above, the move's already been made. They've already broken out. The buyers will be in control, and I don't think you're going to find the sellers. Look at the COT report. Look at the volume. We're not getting, any sellers with any conviction stepping in here yet. So you have to wait until we're back inside a range and back inside a value before you make those plays to the short side. And in between, in the value area, is just there's really no edge. So the line that you want to watch below us is going to be the value area low at this 45. And if you want to take a short, this is your best place to take the short. Is either coming after the breakout, not before. Okay, you could fade the 48.75 with a retest of 48. But again, this area is going to be a little bit tough to trade on any reverse, because you're going to be dealing with the possibility of a value breakout. But if we do short the 45, then I think you got a really nice trade, okay, into test the other side of value and test the open down here at 42.75 with 41.75. Remember that support 1 on the floor pivots is 41.75, which is our range low from the prior day. So I would take the break below 45 with targeting and getting funded before the 42.75 open. So you want to get funded before 43.25, but the first target below is going to be this 42.75, and then the main line in the sand below us is going to be between this 41.75 and the 40.75. Remember 40.75, this is a very low auction gap area down here. The CLVN is 40.75, and that was the range that we broke out of and gapped up and held. So really, you've got two things. You got to look at this both ways. If you're trying to catch a bottom and catch responsive buyers coming into the market here, you got to wait until you're above 41.75. If you're not short below 45.25, you have to wait until we get below this 40.75 so you get a higher probability of coming down to the CHVN and the naked close and the naked VPOC down here in around this next distribution zone at 38.50, I should say. So I think the short is here, but if you don't catch it, okay, don't chase it. Wait for the break of 40.75, and then it gives you a better probability of coming down to take out and test this 38.50 area. But if you're going to try to fade a move down to test the lows down here at 41.75, you've got to wait until we're clearly above 41.75 to get long back for a retest of the value area low from Friday in around 45 and a rotation back up into this balance around 46.50. So the target and the main target below, outside of value, outside of range, is down here in this 38.50 area and naked gap at 38.75. And then, the key area that I was talking about earlier is going to be this 34.25. And if we get below 34.25, again, this is more of the range that I'm looking for the first couple days of this week, is between 55.25 and 34.25. But I'll take the trades within the range that we're in right now, and watch this. Our 20-day ATR target to the low side is just down or just above this 34.25. So I'm going to put that in there. This is our 20-day ATR target is actually at 36.50 right now. I'm sorry, 36.75 right now. So we still have range to come down here today. So that's why I'm liking this break below 45, because I think it brings us everything brings us down into that 38 really nicely, and then a push through possibly down to 34.25. And yes, I'm looking to make that my main trade of the day. But I don't know what's going to happen, so I have to be prepared. And the only trade that I see to the upside is that 48.25. And then below 34.25, that's where I think that we'll see a move down into this 22 area. But we've got some things we've got to look at in between. Not a lot, because we've got a zipper line right here between 34 and 31. 31.25 to be exact. And then below 31.25, you do have 26. With 24 being, you got the, 23.75. I'm sorry, 22.75 to 24, but I would use the 24. And the main target is going to be the 21.75. All right, so that's what I'm looking at in terms of the levels. Again, be careful in here, inside of value, inside of balance, inside of range. It's going to be tough to trade this, and we're likely going to probably just put in another overnight low. Let me just see if we did that. We're likely to take out the overnight low right on the open and test that 45 area. Globex. 46.25. No, we haven't. Well, we're making it now. 46. So they're coming down here. They might not even. If we don't get to the open before this break, take the break, run it into the open. Okay, because they're likely to try to come down all the way down to that 42 area. If we break before the open. If we hold, then you have to wait for the break. And I'm talking too much, and I've got to get through to some other charts right now. So composite and TF. Now I already did my TF chart up, so just basically quickly go through this. Again, we're going to open up inside of range and inside of value right here. So same thing. It's almost the identical scenario, except we're not making all-time new highs. But you do have the value area above 65.75 to take out the overnight high. We're just going in and making, we just made new overnight lows on here, so I have to just adjust this chart. So what was our new overnight low? Our new overnight low was 63. And we're continuing to break down. But we're going to be testing this value area low. So look to see if we get responsive buyers down here between 62.25 and 62.60. And if we find them, look for rotation back up into 64. It's our overnight VPOC, and it's our naked VPOC from the prior day. And then look for them to go and test the value area high at 65.75 and a breakout above that. You've got the naked close and the overnight high up here in around the 66.70, 66. What's the naked close? Naked close is 66.60. And then above that, you've got, on the composite, you've got 68 area up here, 68. Above that, then you've got, you've got 70, 50 as your first target. The big target above us right now is the two of them is at 74, 75, and 87. I don't think we're getting there today. I think we're just going to chop, in this distribution zone. I think we're actually going to come down and test this 1160.40, and then if we get below that, you've got a target down here at 57.90. It's a former microcomposite VPOC, and then 56 with the big number down here in around this 51 to 53 area. You've got a lot going on here. You've got naked close, naked VPOC, you've got the CHVN, and then the other side of that balance is down here at 46 and a quarter, and that's a former microcomposite VPOC as well. And then below that, you've got 42.30, and if we get below that, then I think we're going to come down, and this composite VPOC at 1121.20 is going to start pulling us down towards it. But I'm not anticipating that big of a move today in the wrestle to the downside. My downside target is really down here in around the 42 to 46 level. And then if we break above that value area high, the targets are up here in the 1170 to 1174 for the day. So just taking a quick look at gold. I know we're running out of time here. We came down and hit that 41. Everybody knows that was a level that I was watching if we didn't hold the 66 level. The key level we talked about on Friday was going to be this 56. If we can get above this 56, look for 59, and the retest of the 66, and above 66, look for 75. The big number above us is still going to be this 1293 area. I think if we get above the 66, then we found a swing low on gold and a move back up to see if we can find sellers in around this 1293 to 1298. And then above that, I think we get back into the 1300s. If we can't get above 56.30, look for a rotation down to test the the value area high and the CLVN down here at 50.75, and if we can't hold accepted value is going to be back down here in this 44, 46 level and 41. And then that what was 37.75 has been shifted up to 38.50. If we don't hold that, the big number below us is going to be down here at this 12.27, 12.28 area on gold. And I think we actually even, at that point in time, we're going to see some sellers really capitulating, some buyers really capitulating, and we could see it testing into the 1100s. It's not my main hypothesis. I think that we're finding ourselves a swing low right now down here in around the 44 level, and then we come up and test the 66 this week, especially with any type of a pullback on the indices. So that's what I'm looking at. As always, trade well, trade safe, and we will catch you on the flip side.